Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Thursday, the 16th of January, 2020, and tonight's topic is these types of gains and losses you will never see in gold and silver. And I'm talking about the gains and losses we've seen in cryptocurrencies just over the past year. We had major declines in cryptocurrencies, 60, 70, 80, up to 90% in some cryptocurrencies. But we saw in recent days a few cryptocurrencies actually double in a spate of just 2 days. Now, this is the type of thing you're not going to see in gold and silver. And the reason I want to bring this up, we're going to take a look at some charts. People have all types of things. They make analysis. They form camps of arguments. This analysis is better than that analysis. This is the way things should be. It's really irrelevant what you think or what I think the price of anything should be. Apples, oranges, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. Someone can make a very convincing argument. In fact, someone did make a very convincing argument for silver at the beginning of the 2010s. It was going to be the greatest wealth transfer. There were documentaries done on silver. They were showing how rare silver is, rarer than gold. Silver is so useful in our lives, and on and on and on, and charts and how silver plays catch up to gold. And when there's a mine, they just gave you all the rationale, all the reasoning why silver was going to be the asset of the decade, and it turned out to be the worst performing asset. Now, many people fall in love with the analysis versus the reality of what actually happened. And that's what we see happening across the board in all asset classes. People become single asset focused. They become focused on a particular point of view to the point of religion, where if someone disagrees with them, they say, if you remember when I was justifying the gold-silver ratio, which is factual, they were saying, who is this guy? He believes that the gold-silver ratio should be high. Well, and it's not that I believe that it should be high. It's that it has been high and has been high for 40 years. Now, that to me is looking at what the facts are, not what I wish them to be, because what I wish them to be or what I think they should be is largely irrelevant. In fact, it's 100% irrelevant what I think a certain asset price should be. But somehow, some people think that if they watch a certain channel, they binge watch gold pumper, crypto pumper, silver pumper, whatever it is, and they believe in the arguments, they start to believe that the rest of the world is out of step. They don't understand. They don't get it. Once they do get it, they're going to flock into whatever their favorite asset is, and then it's game over, game changer, and so on and so forth. And we've seen that with those of the dollar haters, the dollar collapse, end of dollar hegemony, game over, dollar collapse, multipolar world. We've seen all of this, and people still insist that this is true, and that, of course, you can never prove that they're wrong because they're just going to say they're not wrong, they're early. Okay. Well, let's take a look at what's happened in these crypto. I mean, these are incredible gains that we saw in the last couple of days. And doesn't matter that you think cryptocurrencies are worthless. This turned a lot of people into real, actual cash, where you could say, well, that's not real money. They turned it into fiat profits. Okay, we want those fiat profits if they so wanted to do, so they could buy real assets, real money, gold and silver. Now, let's take a look at some of these gains, but I'm also going to show you some of the losses. And that's why it doesn't matter what your argument is for or against crypto or for or against gold and silver. What really matters is what happens. And I don't think people understand that enough. They're more interested in, I guess I understand it. The more you listen to a certain point of view, you like the point of view more than you like the reality of what actually is happening. But now let's take a look at, we'll go in order, and it gets really dramatic here. Now, let's take a cryptocurrency that had somewhat of a pedestrian rise over the past couple of weeks since the beginning of the year, compared to the others, was Litecoin. Litecoin opened the year at about $39, and next thing you know, it is at $58 in a very short period of time. That is a $20 gain from a $38 base. That's up almost 50%. And even in just the last couple of days, it went from like $45 to $58. Now that is a dramatic gain, and you'll never see those types of gains in gold. You just don't see them in your regulated markets. It doesn't happen. They have curbs, they have trading curbs, and they increase margins. You just can't make those types of gains. Now, Litecoin wasn't the only, that's actually nothing compared to what I'm going to show you. Let's take a look now at Ethereum Classic. Now, this is the original Ethereum before they forked it. Opened the year at $4.2, and it is now at 8.4. It doubled. In fact, on just a couple of days ago, it was only 5.4, went all the way up to 8.4. That an asset would double in 2 weeks is an incredible gain. But that wasn't the only one. There's some more here. Check out this one. Bcash, which was a fork of Bitcoin, also more than doubled. Well, almost doubled. It went from 180 to 360, as you can see there. But what about this one? Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. This one's incredible. It went from $90 to $440. Now, there's pumping involved, I'm sure. There's all types of shenanigans involved. And again, these are short-term gains, but they can be real gains if people actually traded them during this period of time. This is the type of gain that people think that silver should have or that gold should have. It's just not going to happen. These are manipulated gains. These are gains in small markets. These are gains based on momentum. These are gains that are not hindered by naked short selling. These are things that you're just not going to see. Now, what you're also not going to see, though, let's take a look at the, here's another one. Let me just give you another one. Dash, another cryptocurrency, opened the year at 40, went up to $140 in the last 2 weeks. 40 to $140. Now, you can say these coins are worthless, they're not worth anything. You don't believe there's a future. It doesn't matter what you think. Didn't stop what you thinking and you not liking cryptocurrencies or me not liking them didn't stop this particular coin Dash from going from 40 to 140. Also, your love of silver and you're watching and binge watching silver pumper or gold pumper videos, not going to make the price rise. And just the more convinced you are that gold is money, period, and they used to day's wage and silver denarius, and none of that matters. And I don't think enough people understand that what you think or what your group of people think, no matter how compelling your arguments are, the market sorts this out. Or even if it's not what you would call a free market, some price discovery mechanism sorts it out, whether it's a manipulated price mechanism, whether it's a fraudulent price mechanism. But the reality is, whatever that price mechanism is what determines the price. So, I asked this question the other day. If you actually believe that silver or gold or any of your favorite assets is manipulated to the downside and you're convinced of it, then why would you ever invest in it? I mean, do you want to lose? If you actually believe that it's not going to go higher because they're going to manipulate it, that's like trying to prove to somebody, if you stand in the middle of the road, you're convinced that some cars will not drive around you. They will run you over. And you say, well, I want to prove to you that that's the case. So I'm going to stand in the middle of the road and you'll see someone will drive me over, and then they drive you over. I mean, if you really think that silver is doomed because the banksters are going to manipulate it to the downside, then why would you buy it? Because some silver pumpers telling you one day they're going to lose control. Math. You see, once you attach yourself to that narrative, you miss all the other narratives that could possibly make money in other assets. You may not believe those narratives. You may think they're stupid. But if they're the ones producing the results, why do you want to believe one that for the last decade produced no results? Now, again, I'm not bashing silver. I'm bashing the fact that people have made arguments, compelling arguments full of charts and arrows and circles and crosses, showing you why silver is supposed to go higher and it didn't, and yet you still want to believe it. People still want to believe what they used to believe. It's very hard to convince people to unconvince them of something they've convinced themselves of is true. And then they get mad. Who is this guy? All I've tried to do the last few years is to try to understand why silver didn't skyrocket, why it wasn't the best performing asset of 2010. In fact, it was the worst performing. Now, I've come up with rationale for it, but even that's irrelevant. The rationale doesn't matter. What matters is it didn't happen. But at least I'm able to look at it and say, well, why didn't it happen? And I'm also able to look at these cryptocurrencies and other than just yell bubble, bubble, but okay, that's not analysis, just yelling bubble. Because most bubbles don't last very long. Bitcoin hasn't been in a bubble for 10 years. I mean, you can make the argument that your life is a bubble. It peaks in your 30s and 40s, and then you decline and you die. I mean, you could say this. There's a guy who made a stupid argument that gold is in a 5,000-year bubble. I mean, once something gets, to me, and again, you can define your own terms. Once something gets past a couple of years and is still rising, I mean, Bitcoin has been around for 10 years. In the last 4 years, it's been well over $1,000, and it's been well over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Yeah, it rises and falls. That is a problem. That you can like or dislike Bitcoin because you don't think it's worth anything, but it's solidified its value in the thousands of dollars. When it came out, and I'm not for it, or I'm not really against it either anymore. I just recognize that there is a market that recognizes there's a value in Bitcoin, but it's not real money. And someone can make a better argument that you can make jewelry out of gold and you can't do that with Bitcoin. It's not valued for that. They don't care. There's a value that's been ascribed, whether it's intelligent, whether it's logical, whether you agree with it or not, doesn't matter. There is a value ascribed to Bitcoin. But now let's look at Dash. Now Dash had this big rally from 40 to 140, but look at Dash over a 1 year period. It had gotten as high as 190 and it had dropped all the way down to $40. Now you're never going to see that kind of decline in gold or silver. It just does. Part of the reason is not just because there's COMEX trading limits and you can't really rise more than 10% on either side, up or down, in a given trading session, and then they put all types of trading curbs, but also because there's a built-in need for silver that it can't fall that far. There's also a built-in upside to silver in that demand for silver would dry up if it was $1,000 an ounce. No one would bother to buy silver jewelry. They would try to substitute the silver in a lot of electronics. So there's a limit to the upside, and there's also a floor on the downside. If it gets really cheap, people are going to buy it. I mean, if silver was $2 an ounce, I'd go out and buy myself as much silver and silverware sets as possible just to have. I mean, if it's $1 an ounce, it's not going to get that far down. Whereas Dash can go to zero. There's no value in Dash whatsoever. So that's analysis, or you can say that's an argument, but it's an argument on the extremes. It doesn't tell you that Dash can't go to 300 or that Dash can't go to zero. It doesn't tell you whether Dash is going to be zero or Bitcoin Satoshi's vision is going to be 0 or 10,000. But what you can say about gold or silver, probably it's not going to be zero. Almost definitely not going to be zero unless they find zillions of tons of it somewhere else that anyone can just go and pick it up. But most likely, it's not going to go to $50,000 under today's circumstances an ounce. But there's nothing stopping these cryptocurrencies from going there. And again, that's not analysis. It doesn't mean I like one more than the other. It's just the fact that this should be eye-opening that an asset, these cryptocurrencies, can rise. They can go 2-3 fold in a matter of just a couple. Look at this. It went from $40 to $140 in just a week, 2 weeks since the beginning of the year. You've never seen that kind of move in gold. A big year in gold is, as silver was 89%, a big year in gold is 40, 50%. Well, let's take a look at some of those. Here's what gold did since January. Nothing to scoff at. I mean, it opened the year at 15.20, got as high as 16.10. All right, so it goes up 10, 12%. But it's not up 150%, 200%. Let's look at silver. And let's look at gold over the course of a year. I mean, a nice rise. But again, it's not dramatic compared to these cryptocurrencies from 1260 to 1600. It's a nice rise. And it looks sharp on the chart, but nothing compared to the cryptocurrencies. Let's look at even like, let's look at palladium. Palladium this year, but it's still subject to regulated trading. It opened at 1880 or so, got as high as 2280. It's a nice rise. It's a big rise. But again, nothing that dramatic. And even palladium, which is up big time, it's up a couple 100%. Let's look at the 1 year chart. It's gotten as low as 1250 and it's at 20. It's not even 2400. So palladium hasn't even. It's taken almost a year for palladium to approach doubling. And we saw that in 2 weeks in some of those cryptocurrencies, Dash, Bitcoin, Satoshi's Vision. We saw modest gains in Litecoin and regular Bitcoin, up 50% this year. But again, that is a different world from the commodities like platinum, palladium, gold, and silver. Speaking of platinum, it was a classic example today. I don't know if this has to do with COMEX or NYMEX trading, but platinum at one point today, it's down $15 right now, but had been as high as $10.40. So that's a swing of $55. It had been up 3 or 4%. Now it's down 1.5%. You can see that on this chart here. Went up to almost $10.40, and right now it's at, looks like $1,000 and $1,006. Rhodium has, no, that one was like $1,000. Now it's $7,700. I think at the beginning of the year it was $2,200. 5 years ago, or just in June 2016, it was around $1,200, and now it's $7,700. That's probably the only commodity that's done crypto style spikes. And in fact, the rhodium price, I don't have a chart for you here, but has gone steadily upward. It rose from 2016, 17, 18, stepped all the way to 2019 from like 1,200 to 3,200. And then in the last year, it's gone from 3,200 to 7,400. There's quite a increase there. All right, well, let's see what you guys are saying. And for those who've been listening to this channel, you understand my point of view is that arguments for or against something really are irrelevant. It's what the market ends up deciding, whether you agree with the market, whether you think the market's manipulated. It really doesn't matter because you live in a world where you trade, if you do trade, or you invest and hold based on all the factors, not the ones you choose to pay attention to. You can't say, well, gold would have risen if it wasn't for. Well, that wasn't for does exist. As silver would have risen if it wasn't for, well, there could have been 100 if it wasn't for things, but they do exist. So it doesn't matter. Those things did curb the price of silver. There's really no argument you can make that can change that other than you value arguments more than gains. It's the only thing I can think of, and I understand the attractiveness of an argument, but people argue with me. They say, well, you're wrong, and I'm wrong in thinking that the gold-silver ratio should be as high as it is. It was like, well, I'm wrong in thinking the world is the way it is. I guess the gold-silver ratio is in the 80s. Been in the 80s. It was lower than the 80s. I said it would go higher. It went higher. And they said, well, you're wrong, and it only went higher because. I was like, yeah, I know that. But it did go higher. So it doesn't matter why it went. If you know that that exists and it goes higher anyway, well, then it went higher. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the comments section here. I'll put up the, we have Mug Life going the other day. We had Smaulgld Mug Life. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's put this this up here. Where is the comment section? Oh, there you are. All right. Oh, by the way, I did an interview with Silver Doctors. It's up now. It's on Smaulgld.com. I sent it out to the patrons and to the Smaulgld Subscribe Star members, and it's on Smaulgld.com. I talked with Mike from Rethinking the Dollar, so you can check that out on Smaulgld.com, the Smaulgld YouTube channel. It's on the BitChute channel as well, and it's on Silver Doctors. All right, Steve Fernandez is here. Fiona Whalen is here. Rob, you're 100% correct. Trade crypto, sell for fiat, and buy metals. You're so inclined. See, I don't know why people don't do that. If you know that okay, let's say you believe that cryptos are a scam. Well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with believing that, but you can't deny that they do spike like this. And you can't deny that there's an opportunity for them to rise. You also can't deny there's an opportunity for them to crash. And you may not feel comfortable doing that. But there are people, I know some, who buy cryptos, they spike, and they sell them. And they buy whatever they want with them. And there are people who think buying gold and silver at these prices is a good idea. I don't understand. But what happens when you get religion? You say, I'll never buy cryptos, or I'll never buy what? No. Okay, then you just keep watching videos telling you silver's set to skyrocket. Trucking and prepper. Venezuelans love Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Dash. No, the dollar. Everything that exists is worth what somebody's willing to pay for. Example, the tulip craze. Yeah, and it's not just the tulip craze. It's in everything else. Every item is valued. I mean, and if you have children, you think your sons or daughters' paintings, finger painting is priceless. And it is to you, but try selling it. That's just an indication of how your opinion doesn't matter. Your valuation doesn't matter. Where's Barry? Might cryptocurrencies be how the world funds its deficits and possibly even old debt going forward? Instead of inflating the currencies, they inflate the crypto. It's quite possible. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I thought of was that they inflate asset prices. But the problem with inflating asset prices, like real estate, is there's a limit to how much you can inflate them, because you can't take $200,000 homes and make them $4 million because people can't pay for them. There's not enough people with a lot of money that can pay cash for them. So anyone who's going to pay $3-4 million for a home has to finance it through their salary. Well, if you don't make that kind of money, and very few people do, and you want to make all the houses in the country worth $3 million, it's impossible. Stocks you can boost. I mean, we've seen it. You can boost worthless stocks pretty high, but at some point there's a limit. But cryptos is an entirely new asset, and they could, boost those. Where's Barry? That's true. Phil McCain is big on these ETFs. He's talking about the ones that have platinum and palladium, and they've really been on a tear. Platinum has only just started to move. Palladium is moving, and those ETFs have both platinum and palladium. Platinum will follow palladium up because in some cases platinum can replace palladium. I don't know if you listened the other night, Philip, but according to the Platinum Institute, they're saying that in 2020, even though they're starting to think about how they can replace palladium with platinum, the amount of work involved and the analysis and then the retooling, they say it's not going to happen in 2020. So I guess if you're hoping for that to happen, I mean, who knows if they're right, but if that's indeed correct, then platinum won't get a bid until they're able to do it. However, if it actually is going to happen and palladium is going to go to $3,000 or $4,000, eventually that analysis will get done and the retooling will get done and platinum should be substituted. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. Oh, somebody got a drop off here. It looks like we must have lost. Nope. All right. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight, and we will see you tomorrow night.